Hello everyone, I'm Fozzie or Camp and welcome to the Everything Podcast. Today I'm here, as always, with my co-host Will. How you doing today, Will?
Impatient, but so excited for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. How are you doing, Cam?
I'm doing fantastic, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I do believe, will be at least... Oh no, I don't think I can say that. At least the second best film in the Phase 4 of the MCU. That's all I have to say. It's almost guaranteed at this point. I am just so psyched for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And in case you couldn't tell, today's episode will be another exclusive episode in the way that we are only talking about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Last week we did only music. Now we're doing only Black Panther. I mean, for a show called the Everything Podcast, we're not really living up to our name, Will. But in a way we kind of are. Because, Will, you saw Black Adam. How did you feel about Black Adam? So
Yeah,
it's more than one thing we're covering here.
I think we touched on this on a previous podcast, and you gave your
Yeah,
thoughts
yeah.
about how it was you know
Average.
average, yeah, like nothing crazy. And look, the fans have heard us, Cam, have crazy arguments and debates about, for instance, like Star Wars The Last Jedi and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. But I literally agree with every single word that came out of your mouth about Black Adam. It was average. I thought it got better as it got towards the end, but absolutely nothing new, like predictable overall. It was, just okay. An average, nothing new superhero movie, really saved by Dwayne The Rock Johnson's performance.
Yes.
I literally, Cam, agree with every single word that came out of your mouth about Black Adam.
Yeah, and Dwayne Johnson's just such a charismatic guy. He's just such a fun presence to be around. I feel like he just brings a whole new level of energy to every role he's in. So time for Black Panther, and I wanted to start out with cameos, which is something we've all come to rely on when it comes to Marvel nowadays, which is kind of sad, considering that's not what Marvel is all about. It's about the storytelling and the characters, not about cameos. But here we are. What cameos do you think we'll get in Black Panther Wakanda Forever?
I, I'm gonna actually start by asking you, Cam, because you read the comics and you know this stuff. Who's somebody that you think we could get in this movie?
So I really think I've heard rumors online that we're gonna get some Doctor Doom,
Right.
which would be interesting, because he's one of the biggest, most powerful presences in the entire MCU and all the comics, mostly in the comics because he hasn't been introduced yet. But he could be his own big bad if we actually wanted him to, because the things he does in the comics go crazy. But I could also see them saving him for the Fantastic Four movie which would make a little bit more sense because the Fantastic Four has always been a bit more involved with Doctor Doom than Black Panther. Uh, so that would make sense if we got him in here, and it would make sense if we got him in Fantastic Four. I've also heard quite a few rumors about. It's probably almost confirmed at this point because I've seen a few articles. Nick Fury, which would be really cool if that's actually true, because he has his own show coming out soon, and I'm excited to see what would happen with Nick Fury being there. My guess is that it's just an end credit scene, which is fine. That's kind of what Nick Fury does nowadays. He shows up dramatically in end credit scenes. So yeah, those are my thoughts for the cameos. It, this this seems like a movie that can go on without any cameos. I know I've heard a lot of people say that it has a lot of characters, so I don't know if we need any cameos per se, because we're already getting Ironheart. We're getting pretty much everyone back except for unfortunately Chadwick. Um, yeah, And Michael B. Jordan we won't have for this movie unless they're doing a flashback scene. So there are a lot of characters. I don't think there'll be any crazy cameos because it doesn't need that. Will, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like if there's gonna be cameos, I would expect it to, yeah, like, I would guess more in the end credits, because I think that this movie is going to be predominantly about the grieving of
Yep.
everyone who knew King T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman's character. I think they're gonna make that the focus. Like this is absolutely the movie where like you shouldn't bring in cameos and these big surprises to distract from the big storyline, which is the aftermath of the tragedy that was Chadwick
Yeah.
Boseman and King T'Challa's death. So I think that will be the focus, not cameos.
Yeah. That I totally agree with. I actually pretty much. Well, Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury, I wouldn't say is as big of a cameo if it
Right.
actually happens
I just mean
as
like if
like
they, yeah,
Tobey
whatever
Maguire
they
or something.
do, I just don't think anything like is going to take away
Yeah,
from
totally.
you
Yeah,
know the aftermath of T'Challa's passing. I think that's going to be the
yeah,
big story, whatever
totally.
cameos there are, if there are any.
Yeah. So I also want to touch on this. I saw this that because Ryan Coogler had the script written before Chadwick died. He had a whole script, which must have been very sad when he had to just erase it all. But apparently, the original script was
Loss of
about
time after Endgame or something like that.
yes, yeah, lots of time after Endgame, and T'Challa just he's a king after all, and him not being there for 5 years, and that was apparently going to be a main plot point in Wakanda Forever, and apparently in the script before Chadwick passed, Namor was still going to be in the
Right.
movie. It was still going to be with the Atlanteans.
So that stays the same.
Yes, which I'm very glad. I don't want them making whole new ideas and changing everything. And I feel like this production team got dealt enough bad cards because Letitia Wright got hurt on set. She hurt her arm on set. Their lead actor passed away. I mean, those are two of the like hardest things. They had to deal with COVID. They had to do reshoots. They had to film through
And they had
COVID.
to deal with the whole Letitia Wright not getting vaccinated thing as
I
well.
know yeah, that kind of irked me. I kind of made my opinion go down just a little bit on Letitia Wright.
Same here.
Yeah, I feel like you shouldn't hold up an entire film because of that. It's your job. It's her job. I mean, but they had to deal with all that, and they still got this movie made. That's already impressive. And the reviews that we're seeing from Rotten Tomatoes that have already been released, it's at an 86 right now, which is really good. Like not only is it good just alone, but with all the stuff they had to go through, wow. But speaking of those reviews, let's read a few. So we'll start off with the bad. A top critic says a sequel that can't match its predecessor, and gives it a 2.5 out of 5. I mean, that's not great, but I'm not exactly expecting it to be as good as the original Black Panther cuz that has some really good storytelling. I don't think it's the best Marvel movie of all time, but it made so much new things, It created so much. It kind of changed how we view superhero movies in a way. Cuz Wakanda Forever, that became a whole thing people did, It was very influential. So, I don't in at least in that way, I don't think it can be matched, but in terms of filmmaking, in terms of character development, in terms of writing, it could be an improvement, and that's what I'm expecting. Because Ryan Coogler, in the time between Black Panther 1 and here has made some very good movies. So let's read some good reviews. Chadwick Boseman is deeply missed in a sequel that still checks all the right boxes for Marvel fans.
All right.
That's what I want to hear. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And I feel like Chadwick Boseman being deeply missed, that sounds like this person thinks it's a bad thing. I think that might actually work for the movie because
Yeah.
it makes it more
That's
emotional.
what could, yeah, like that is what could make it so powerful. And also, allow me to say this to what like the first critic was saying there about like not living up to the original Black Panther film and a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Allow me to say this. If they can't live up to the original Black Panther movie, they deserve, Ryan Coogler and crew deserve a complete 100% pass. The script was written. Someone passed away. They had to create all these new ideas with the exception of who the villain, or I guess the anti-hero in this movie was going to be. If there's any film that deserves a pass for flaws, it's this movie.
Yep. Totally.
So I don't think, like, if that's the case, I don't think we should look at it as a bad thing.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I feel like, yeah. So let's read one more review.
Let's do it.
All right. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is a sorrow and joyous feeling with a live infomercial. I'm not sure what that means. That was a weird review.
Yeah.
Coogler leaves it to the women of Wakanda, often the scene stealers of the original film, to take the lead in the stitching kingdom's wounds. To take the lead in stitching the kingdom's wounds. Yeah, I totally expected that. And they were often scene stealers in the first movie. And I'm just not surprised that they're scene stealers in this one, you know?
All of the supporting characters to King T'Challa in the original Black Panther movie were all fantastic in their own right, whether it's like, Shuri, Okoye, Nakia, you could go on and on and on. All of the supporting cast from the original film is more than ready to take the mantle and step into larger roles in this movie.
100%. I think I've heard, and I was watching a review today from a reviewer that I really think I think is one of the best reviewers out there right now, Chris Stuckman, and he's actually filming his own movie. So he generally likes to review movies that he likes, because it would be kind of weird if he made his own movie and then everyone review bombed it and it was bad and it was just not a good movie, but he's over here sharing his opinion on other bad movies. So he likes to review movies that are good, at least for now, because he's making his own movie. And he reviewed this, and he said Angela Bassett could be nominated for an Oscar.
I read one article about her, and they were saying how, she might have Marvel's best chance to win Best Supporting Actor because, apparently, a lot of people have won that award over the years, or a lot of actors who have played a grieving mother over the years have won Best Supporting Actor. So, for that reason, I could see it. And allow me to say this. In the 2 trailers they released, especially, I was absolutely stunned by the emotion in her performance. I mean,
when she was yelling, I forget exactly what she was saying.
Yes, I'm queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Yes. Have I not given everything? And I'm not even saying it like she said it.
So much passion, so intense.
This is only the trailers, and I am already stunned.
That gave me goosebumps when I first saw it. That gave me goosebumps.
It was so powerful.
So powerful.
And it's like you completely empathize with everything her character is saying in every single clip and trailer that has come out from this movie.
I'm just so glad that we have such an awesome performance in this movie, and I can't think of the last time it even crossed my mind that a Marvel actor might win, might get nominated for an Oscar.
Well, I I think the reason like why we just kind of have to like not get our hopes up too much in terms of Marvel and Oscars, if there would be a Marvel movie that should be up there for or at least nominated for Best Picture, it would be Avengers Endgame. Like,
Yeah,
like if that if like if we
but
can't
the
get
Oscars don't like superhero movies.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a.
But the power, like first time Oscars really, got associated with Marvel was with the original Black Panther film, and
Yep.
that's why I would have more hope with someone winning Best Supporting Actor in this movie compared to other ones because of what happened with the first film and Oscars for like score and costume design and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. So that would be really nice if Angela Bassett gets nominated. Heck, if she wins, I will be so excited.
Me
That
too.
and I'm just really excited to see her performance because that gave me goosebumps.
Amen.
That was probably my favorite clip from the trailer, and I still haven't watched any TV spots. I am very happy about that, and I just don't want any spoilers going into this movie. I don't want to see how they're going to treat. I don't want to see how they're going to treat Chadwick Boseman's death or T'Challa's death in the movie. I don't want to know how he dies in the movie, which I think it's gonna actually just be cancer. That's my prediction. How they're gonna do it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, like I mean, the reviews had come out and stuff, and I like started to like read over a little bit of one yesterday, and right when they started to go into like T'Challa's death and stuff, I was just like, all right, that's it
yeah,
until Friday night when I'm done with the movie. I'm not getting any more spoilers about how they are going about this. I was just like, adios until Friday night.
yep, 100%. That's it's taken willpower, I must say, to just staying away completely from from MCU content, from Black Panther content.
Oh,
It's been hard. Like if you told me to do that for Spider Man or for Thor: Love and Thunder or for Multiverse of Madness, I'd say no. I'm watching every single TV spot. But this is a movie I feel so passionate about. I feel so passionately that I just don't want to get spoiled. I refuse to watch anything that could possibly have the smallest bit of a spoiler. I'm not taking my chances. I'm not.
I think you're doing beyond the right thing.
It's just not worth it getting my experience tainted in a way because I don't want to know anything coming in. I know all I need to know. I watched the first trailer and I watched the second trailer. That's it. That's all I want to know. I want to know that they're going to honor Chadwick. I want to know that Namor is going to be in this movie and he's going to be a relatively large presence in the movie. I want to know that there might be something going on between Namor's people and the Wakandans. So that's it. That's all I want to know, and
Yeah,
that's what I got from the two trailers that I watched.
and to what you're saying there, like, why? I mean, I guess some like TV spots to like advertise it would like be okay, but like, why do we need to like put out? Why do we now? Granted, I did watch them, and and that's my choice. Like, why do we have to put out so many TV spots and like so many clips? Yes, you're absolutely right, but like, can't we get to a point like we don't, truly, we don't need anything besides just like one trailer. Like, look at like, look at Thor: Love and Thunder in their first trailer. You don't know if Jane Foster is gonna be a variant or if she's gonna be like the Jane
Yeah,
Foster that you knew. Trailer number two gives that away. If for Wakanda Forever, if all you knew, if the only footage that came out was the first trailer, I think that's all that people need, and I hope that we can maybe get to that point with movies someday.
but the thing is, with especially Marvel, they need to make a lot of money, and that's what they do. This movie
Oh,
is going
yeah.
to make millions upon millions, heck, maybe even $1 billion, which is insane to say. I mean, it's once again not a shock, but without getting all this hype, without putting these clips on TV, they're not going to get those numbers. So that's pretty much the only reason I think they're doing it. Otherwise, I don't think Kevin Feige would want to spoil or ruin our experience in the theater, you know?
Right, right. And look, the movie's going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes, so I
Yeah.
think there are plenty of surprises and plenty of scenes still in there that have not already come out.
That reviewer I was talking about earlier, Chris Stuckman, who I think is incredibly reliable, he said one of his few complaints was it could have been 20 minutes shorter.
You don't
Which
like to hear that, but you know.
intrigues me.
Look,
Because,
Avengers Endgame gives me hope for long Marvel movies.
yeah, totally. And I really don't even mind. I think, because the last few Marvel movies, heck, the last few movies I've watched in general, the first thing I say going out of the theater is, I wish that was longer. Smile. Not just Marvel. Well, for the Marvel ones, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder. Non-Marvel movies, we have Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends. Smile.
Black Adam was under
Black
2 hours.
Black Adam. I don't care about
Right,
Black Adam.
sure.
But all four of those movies, I mean, the first thing I said when I came out of them was, I wish that was longer. I wish that was a little bit longer. And I'm finally getting my wish.
Yeah, Love and Thunder especially, it felt too rushed for me.
Did, yeah.
Love and Thunder is something that could have absolutely benefited from some of the deleted scenes that have been put out on YouTube and, that platform.
Yeah. And Multiverse of Madness, there's some scenes where they could have done other stuff to make it even better. It's already one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time.
Oh, it's at my number 4 spot behind No Way Home, Infinity War, and Endgame. That's all that I have to say about that movie.
And here's what this is something I really like to say when it comes to Marvel movies, and I've heard other people say it as well. Especially with Multiverse of Madness, it feels like it was written by and directed by people who really cares. Like Sam Raimi he makes really good movies. He makes his own movies. It doesn't feel like it was directed by a committee, Whereas Thor: Love and Thunder feels like it was put together by a committee of people, by by a corporation. Whereas Black Panther: Wakanda Forever looks like Ryan Coogler was the man behind it. He has his own style almost of writing. It's his own movie. It's not. It's in a way it's a Ryan Coogler film. Multiverse of Madness is a Sam Raimi film, whereas Love and Thunder is less of a Taika Waititi film and more of an MCU film.
Yeah, whereas Ragnarok was an absolutely
that was a Taika
Waititi film with its whole style.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like I feel like Marvel needs to be a bit more unique now, because it's been going on for so long. It needs to get these directors who want to make real movies, who don't want to just be run by these committees, these billionaires,
Yeah, look at Werewolf by Night. You wouldn't say that you wouldn't say that was done by a committee. So yeah, I mean, look. Speaking
and they're
of
listening. There are other people saying this, and it looks like they're listening. We have Wakanda Forever, and we have Werewolf by Night. Thank you, Marvel.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of current Marvel, I guess everybody feels this way, but what my fear is. And it's the small screen. The big screen, even though I have documented on this podcast my issues with Love and Thunder, I still think on the big screen they are on an all-time great run. The small screen,
step it up.
I'm worried, but at least we'll have Secret Invasion next year.
Yeah, I'm excited, and we'll have Daredevil at some point. And who knows?
Yes.
They could step it up. They could start to...
and with Daredevil
listening to us right now. They're making things more unique. Maybe they'll listen to us about the TV shows and step it up.
Yeah, and with Daredevil Born Again, as I said, I think last podcast, I look forward to getting the real Daredevil back, not the She-Hulk
hopefully
comedy Daredevil, but the real Daredevil. Yep. And that's an understatement with how disgusted I was by that.
Totally. All right, so now I want to discuss what we think our rating of the movie will be after we see it, if that makes any sense. So, what do we think our score of the movie will be? For me, I'm going to go with a 8.5, 8 out of 10 for me right now. Will, what are you thinking?
Yeah, let's see. I was going back and forth between kind of an 8.5 and a 9. I'm going to go with an 8.5. I'm going to say it was epic. That like sometimes I could see like how much of a struggle it was to like rewrite the whole
Yep.
thing, and that maybe some of their ideas could have been, or writing could have been better if Ryan Coogler didn't have to totally start from scratch again. But I'm gonna say 8.5, that it was a stunning and one of the most emotional and just beautiful Marvel movies of all time.
Yeah. And I just think that I always start right after I watch a Marvel movie with a really high rating. So right now, my pre-rating of this movie is actually going to be a bit lower, because that way I can kind of lower my expectations. So if it's a really good movie, I will know. Because I feel like for Love and Thunder, I set it a little too high, and I came out of the theater giving it an 8 out of 10, which not anymore. Right now, it's at a 6.5 or a 7 for me.
I completely agree.
So my out of the theater reaction is always a bit better than a month after I watched the movie. So I just want to set it a little bit lower than I really think I will give it. Um, I don't know if that makes any sense, but now I want to
It
talk
does,
about.
yeah.
Now I want to talk about. Oh yeah, yeah. You. I forgot you just gave your score. So Namor, how do we think he'll be as a villain?
Absolutely fantastic. I think
Do you
first of
think he'll
all,
live up
I
to Michael B. Jordan though?
I think he'll be maybe equal, and if not, just slightly under. He looks fantastic. First of all, I love how they're gonna, have like this underwater kingdom of Talakon in this movie, because like, going underwater is something that like Marvel hasn't gone into yet, and creative new ideas like that are fantastic. And I love how apparently he's gonna be more of like an anti-hero. I believe that's
Yeah,
what his
like Deadpool or
actor,
Venom.
yeah, what his actor said. So yeah, I'll just be very curious about that, and like, the two nations apparently like fighting for the same, thing
Totally.
in stuff. So everything I've seen from him, it seems like I guess he'll be an anti-hero, but it also seems like I'm going to hate him. So I'm very excited,
Yeah.
and I love how as I said, that they're doing something new and having this underwater kingdom. That's a great new thing that Marvel hasn't gone into yet, and I'm glad that they're doing it because it'll be fascinating.
In that review from Chris Stuckman, he said that when James Cameron sees this movie, he might be a bit nervous, because he said the visual effects underwater are amazing, and he said that James Cameron is also making a movie about blue people underwater, so he might have some
Well, yeah,
competition.
well, I think we are going to have two great underwater movies coming to us
Yeah,
in the next 2 months, both with stunning visuals, with Wakanda Forever and Avatar: Way of the Water. I'm extremely excited for both of these.
totally, yeah. And I just think it's really cool that they were able to up the visual effects in this movie from what I've heard, because the final fight and the first Black Panther was disappointing. I just feel like it should have been more epic. It was underground. There wasn't like much going on. It didn't look great, and it just didn't feel like a proper epic final battle. So I'm
Like
just
Endgame, for instance.
yeah, or heck, even the end of Iron Man was more epic than that, because it moved around. The fight moved around. It was epic. It wasn't just wonky fighting. It because it looked weird. It was they just did it in a weird way, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and the fact that it was underground just makes it even weirder. But hopefully they kind of deliver with the final fight scene. Because, in a way, the final fight scene is the real final thing that will leave the taste in your mouth for the movie. That is, because if the third act is really bad, then that significantly will lower my score of the movie. Because I love Shang-Chi, but the final battle isn't outstanding. It's not great. It's not disappointing. It's just not great. And just being just slightly less than what I wanted lowers the score. I currently have Shang-Chi at an 8. And that's a good score, but if the final battle was better, then I could possibly even boost it up to 9, you know? So,
Yeah.
it really shows how much it can make or break a Marvel movie.
Yeah, and even though I have my issues with Love in Thunder, something that I actually enjoyed, like the movie, especially in like the middle, like I thought it started great, and then like middle part, I started to have my issues with too much comedy, fast pacing, not super strong dialogue. But then at the end, with the giving kids the power of Thor and the final stuff with
Which was
Gore
a little silly,
and
but yeah.
yeah, but still at the end, I thought it picked back up. So that actually made me leave the movie feeling better than if it had continued to play out like the middle stages of it. So, even something that I have, as many issues with as Love and Thunder, it still got better at the end to make me walk out of the theater thinking it was a, really solid movie instead of an okay movie.
Yeah, totally. And that might be one of the main things I'm crossing my fingers on. People seem to not love the action sequences in the first Black Panther, which I disagree. I just think the fight was bad.
Yeah, sure.
But people are saying the action scenes are even better in this one, and Chris Stuckman said that his camera work improves for the fight scenes, which I'm so glad to hear. And
I mean,
I didn't even think it was bad at first. But just hearing it improved
I think the original Black Panther does a very good job. I'm probably higher on the final fight than others, but I am not worried about action sequences or any finale fights in this film. I have trust in Ryan
and that's not the main focus
they're
of
going
this movie.
to do this. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, that's not the main focus of the movie. The main focus is the drama, the sadness, the grief, the overcoming grief.
I mean, obviously Endgame, but this will be up there for one of the Marvel movies with the saddest tone. That's why I'm so I love a movie like a superhero movie, even look at No Way Home last year. That makes me feel so much emotion because it makes me be even more excited about a character's victory at the end if I've gone on this whole emotional journey with them throughout the film. So that is one of the reasons I am so excited about this movie. It's like you're going to have this nation, Wakanda, in grieving over the loss of their king, and hopefully by the end they can have a victory and I can walk out of there being elated, unlike Love and Thunder, which plays it with comedy and doesn't make me walk out of there being let's go. The movies with emotion make me feel something, and that's what I'm excited for with this movie.
I agree. Once again, Angela Bassett, fingers crossed for an Oscar nomination. But first I have to see the movie.
Sure.
But that'll do it for today's episode of the Everything Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Will, thank you as always for joining me. And see you next time. Goodbye.